Welcome back to Crispy's Projects. I'm Chris, and this is a blinded modification to my T5. So that's a set of blinds that will actually look fairly flush. It hasn't took too much out of the rear window, but these are blackout blinds, so quite dark when you're in there, and they're supposed to be thermal insulators as well. And to be honest, when driving, not overly obtrusive, because I've not lost a great deal of the window, so we can see the bottom bit of the window, and also fits nicely with that little bit of a cutout there. So I'm going to spend my time doing this one because it took absolutely ages to prototype this one. It was actually very difficult, so I'm going to show you how. But first of all, where did I get the blinds from? Nothing better than coming out on a Saturday night to come round our favourite little department store. So we went to the good old friendly Ikea, and I've got 3 plus a 4th one fitted. So that one's by a 60 by 155, 100 by 155, 100 by 155. So these are to go on these. So what do we get in the kit? So we get 2 brackets and a little hooky thing that goes on the bottom, and of course the blind. So I'm going to disassemble this one and use this one to just mirror everything over. So it's going to be a lot quicker for me to show you how to do it, rather than hours and hours of me prototyping it and getting it wrong, because trust me, I got it wrong loads of times. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you some hints and tips on what I did with this. So this standard should be 100 and... this should be 155, so 1.5 meters down. Mine is no longer 1.5 meters. So I've seen quite a few videos where they actually chop the sides off, which is one thing I'm going to have to do on this. But no one ever chops anything off the bottom, and I'll tell you why. It's not that easy. But we're going to do this at the end of the video to get that one to fit properly. So the mechanism is dead straightforward. It's a load of levers, pulleys, spring loaded. But we're going to have to shorten this down. So both here and here. When we compare it to the other one, you can see the whole thing is actually shorter. So as we can see on this one, we can see a big chunk that's been cut out. So I've decided to take the chunk off on the spring side. It sits really close. So first thing we're going to do is pop off the end caps. Dead easy, plastic little bits. The only thing I've got to do is not copy this one exactly. I've just got to mirror it. So yeah, it goes that way round. So I've got to try and mirror it that way. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut off that part straight, and I'm going to work out which bits to actually chop here and here, and how far down. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to chop down that part. You can see how much I've took off already. Right, the easiest way to let all this mechanism move is just to take the tension off the spring and just let it sit. But don't let it all fall apart, and just move that side, let it roll sideways a little bit. You can see that's got a bit of movement on it now. Right, so I'm going to chop this with the angle grinder. Now, I prefer to use a used one on something soft like this. It'll just give a better finish. So with those two cut as a mirror image, I'm actually thinking that the one I've just done is actually the best one out of the two. So in the kit you get bracket like these, so I need to make it into something a little bit smaller. The size varies depending on which side it goes onto. on my variation, but I'm just going to copy off what I've done already. Right, now I've screwed those up. These were the hardest bits to work out the actual distances. I'll just clip those on. Right, as it is, the 60mm one looks like it's perfect, but it's not. Because I've just been re-looking at it going, why did I chop the other one? And I've just worked out why. So, the runners I'm going to put here, so it's just electric conduit, just going to sit on the edge of there. So it needs to mount there and there. So I still need to trim a little bit off here, and I need to trim these down. But we can see why that is so appealing. Let's take out these ends. These are a little bit harder, they seem to be glued in. Rain started just as it's been forecast, and I need to get this done today. So at least if I get all the noisy stuff done during the daytime, there's some stuff I can do at night time that's not going to make any noise. Now we've made these the equal size, we need to cut this. So because this is a plastic, we just get our best carving knife out and just give it a trim. Now we're going to see that's shorter. So earlier on, I'd cut out the other template. So what I'm going to do, while it's raining, cut this one out. The only thing is, I'm only going to cut a smaller square round here, just in case things don't quite tally up. Need to cut that bit out to be able to try it out, don't I? So now I've got it in place, more or less lined up all the top of my template. I need to put a couple of self-tappers in there. 2 self-tappers, I've put one on one side, one on the other. That's all that's holding it, because I haven't put the runners in as yet. But let's get this lined up. So it's coming off again. The only thing I need to do is just trim it off that point a little bit. So I'm just going to square that up. To be honest, left a little bit too much there, and just spotted a little washer there. I don't know where that's come from. Okay, best find out where that goes. But yeah, but that's not too bad, because we can actually hide the carpet around there, so let's not worry about that too much. So next up's the runners for the blinds. So I went to my local wholesalers and bought 3 meters of 38mm square box conduit. I've cut the conduit to fit between there and there, because I've already done the other side. This makes it so much easier for me. So I think I've got it 52 and then trimmed a little bit. So I've definitely trimmed a little bit off that corner bit, just to sit in that corner better, because it's able to go up. I'm going to screw that against the actual framework about there. What you've got to remember, it's quite hard to work out straight lines on here, because the door is open and it pulls it out at an angle. So I've done all my measurements while the door's being shut to get the level point, and that took the longest. So that's why I quite like to share it. So if you do enjoy this, share it with someone else, consider subscribing. And if not, just give it a like, because a like is free. And I love doing stuff like this. So let's get it on there. I'm just going to do a little screw hole, 3mm, as close to the edge as possible. So next up, I've got a little 5mm bit of offcut with a hole drilled in. Just going to put a little bit of grab adhesive on there, just to stop it when I take it apart from falling off. It's not really going to hold it because it's going to get screwed through the framework. And I'm just going to pop it in. Just so it's tight, so that just pulls that away a little bit from there. Okay, that's tight. 2 offcuts of the 9mm. When I measured it, it's more close at 8mm than it is 9mm. So that's about 16-17mm in depth on this bottom bit. So probably 1-2 inches up. But I'm not going to put any grab adhesive on this side because I plan to take the channel off at some point in the future. That's on. Okay, good. Just double check that goes up and down. Yeah, so you can see with it an angle, thing wants to sway over that way. So that's why I'll do that one first and then do this one and use this as measurements. Put a little bit of this grab adhesive, and that's just a little offcut of the 9mm stuff. I'm just going to sit it on here just to stop the flex on this part here. So I've got this little bit of a corner just to take out. That's 52cm. So just to nip it in so it runs closer. And here's quite hard because I've already marked in this little green pen where the edge of the actual seal goes. So see, we don't want to go over there because the previous carpet was all the way up here. And I think it must have been letting water in because it just, yeah, it was just wrong. So I'm going to mark in that little spot where it is. We're going to drill through here. And there's only one place that can drill onto. This one's easier. I can put a little 90-degree bracket on. So I've got the mark there, and all I'm going to do an 8mm. That's access to screw. And drill accordingly. So I've got pilot hole through. So big one side and small through the other. And then I'm going to line it back up and just drill ever so shallowly through there, because we have got a little area there, but I don't want to go as far as the glass because that's going to be disastrous. So marked it, and I'm putting in the smallest little screw that I've got that's got a self tapper on it. It's actually screwing it in. So line that up. Now I've used 90-degree little bracket. Now I've bent it a little bit just to match up with the angle on there. Work it several times. Like you probably notice whichever screw you've gone here, you'll probably catch a little bit. So that's where you then put a little bit of tape or something over the top of it just to let it smooth past. Edit that up. There's 2 skins there, so go through both of them. Which actually drill through there, but because it's a little bit of an L bracket, we want to make sure that we don't hit one of the pre-drilled holes, because we're going to put something a little bit smaller in there. So just try and work it out and just go a little bit lower. And again, just go and put a metal self-tapper in. So I'm going to paint, trim, and just get this all to merge in so it mixes. So we can actually see from the previous job, it's not very tidy at all. There's been no rubber trim being put over it when the windows have gone in. So I need to trim the carpet round there. So that's another reason why having all this out. But next bit of the panel is to do the actual ply and just get it looking right. I'm quite happy with that, to be honest. Apologies for the quality. It's took me a long time to get it looking this good. So we see it, that's a lot thicker, the amount of material that's on there than that. You know, it's massive, and there's still a load of material at the bottom. Compare it to that, so you can see the distance between all these. It just looks better. What we need to do, take the spring off. That just takes the tension off it. Now it's time to remove the bottom section of the blind. That's stuck in the middle, and then we've got these two pieces there. So we're going to pull these strings all the way out. As we put the tension on there. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. I took time and measured each one of these to get it exactly the same, and I need to snip it there before I forget. Not to cut it all the way, because these cords run through the middle. There's the cord. I'm just going to go on the top. So you can see the cord goes right through the middle there. Right, so they're the two bits. Get that out of the way, but at the very bottom one of these, oh, that's quite hard to see, so that sits inside there, and that just gives this the ridginess on here. And this is where I've just got a little kitchen hook, little thin bit of hook, just to try and pull that cord through. Right, caught it, I've hooked a duck, I'm going to bring it through. Right, we've got the two loops. Now this is where the hard bit comes in. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to snip that because I had a real nightmare last time. So I'm going to snip it diagonally. That's top. So that's threaded through. A bit of good old-fashioned sellotape, just to go over the bit that I've cut. and the one that you think is on the bottom. Yep, that's on the bottom. And then we give these a pull, and it's a 50-50 chance. No, that's not right. This looks like it's all twisted here. Let's try that again. It's only going to take about that much off. Now that bit's all threaded back in, it just gives that little bit of a rigid feel to it. And we'll pull all this back, and hopefully we haven't messed this up too much. It should be all nice and tight. No, we'll put the spring back on it. It pulls it all back up again. Okay, so that's all nice and tight there. To get this bit back on there, so this bit, the sticky part, needs to go back in the middle. Future editing me, I just worked out that something's not quite right here. I did not measure the length of the cord before I snipped it off. And it clearly shows in the length of the spring, which alters the tension. Now that is something that I've noticed while I've been operating the blinds up and down, that they do move, they've got slightly different tension on them. And the more tension is probably the better, because it springs up quicker or a little bit more fluid. So that is something I'm going to alter in the future. I'm going to pull them down and split them. So before you cut them, double check the lengths just by putting the little discs on and operating it forwards and backwards, up and down. And hopefully you don't snip them too short. But there is room for error looking at that. So I've got two completely different sizes. It was late at night and yeah. It's just something I missed, wasn't it? So as we can see, it's all fitted and it looks really, really tidy. So I've done the four-way carpet along here. All this old yellow looking glue is from when I'd originally bought the van, and it was carpeted all the way up to there. It was letting in water. It was a nightmare to come off, and now that it's been off for some time, we can see it's gone more yellowy. But that's something for a future. That's a future issue. That. So it goes down. It looks quite nice. So I put a little bit of black tape just on the inside there, just to hide the plastic conduit, so we can just see where it goes. Black tape covers the screw a little bit, so that's both sides. I think, thinking about it, it would be better if I put a pot rivet in. So a pot rivet would be a smoother head. So that's something I can do in the future just to improve it. Got the carpet up and round where it had been cut out, so we can see there. Ideally, window needs coming out, bit of rubber trim needs going in, thing needs finishing off properly, because it was a really cheap job which was done not by me. So there's the panel as it fits. You see it's trimmed, gone down there. If we turn over the other side, so I've got room for all these hidden clips. And this bit I've just used a little bit of, I think it's 9 or 12 mil just ply, just to put an extra edge on that, just to pull it out a little bit, just to make it look tidier. And these are these little hidden clips. So a hidden clip on the other side sits a lot better. So I've still got to put a little bit of a bracket on there for it to fully support. So with these little clips, it does look quite plush. So even with just 2 screws in, it looks way better. It still needs just finishing off that a little bit, but it looks so much better because I was in real time constraints to get it done, because we actually used the van to go to Le Mans, and that's an old video and I'm only just catching up with all the editing. So I've took that bit lower than the window, so I've checked there's no way you can actually see from the outside in. They are thermal lined, they are blackout blinds. They just look right in the van, don't they? So if you'd not took out that bottom bit at the bottom there, you would have a big chunk of just this stuff all merged up. I think it was probably about probably half it realistically. So you have this big line of stuff all together. B-roll. But it is sitting at a little bit of an angle, as we can sort of see that bit to that bit. But when you close the door, that actually straightens up. It's one of these weird things that the doors, if you ever look, do open up at a bit of an angle. But when it's shut, it's perfect, because I'd done all the measurements while it was shut. But yeah, that really finishes her off. All I've got to do is do a couple more videos on the inside of the vehicle. Not actually done anything on fitting the kitchen. Yeah, that looks good. So I think next up in the future is definitely going to be tidying all this side bit up, finish off the trims. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. The key things is driving, because we took this over to France. You can actually see out the back windows. I've seen other pod versions that have been a little bolt-in, has been a perfect looking fit, but the window is probably about half that, and that's what you really need while you're driving. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. And I think I deserve a donut for that. That custard slice. Let's go down the shops.